this is boomer behavior. But anyway, so
read the Bible then. Hi guys, welcome to the weekly Cybernews podcast. This week we delve into our research that showed how Paris Olympics apps are eavesdropping on users. We also simply have to talk about this poor Catholic priest who has now sued Grindr, a gay dating app. And we take a look at the tech industry's relationship with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. My name is Gintaras Radauskas. I'm a senior journalist here at Cybernews. And these are my colleagues, Niv Ansel.
Hello.
And Ernestas Napris.
Hi.
They're also journalists here at Cybernews. Okay, so we are kicking off with Paris Olympics, which are ongoing, obviously, and millions or at least hundreds of thousands of people are using these apps related to the event. In France, turns out that these apps are tracking users, extracting private data, and peddling it to advertisers in big tech. What's the surprise here?
Classic.
Though? Yeah. Moreover, their overreaching capabilities exceed what's being declared. Ernestas, you wrote about this incident, or let's say ongoing incident this week. Can you please expand and tell us more?
Well, I wouldn't call it an incident, and I also don't want to sound like a guy who brings his tinfoil hat to the Olympics. But basically, yeah, it turns out that International Olympic Committee, like many other developers, is also collecting personal data. And that data is kind of sensitive and sometimes requires some dangerous permissions from users. Also, what the committee does with that data, it kind of makes user profiles. It also shares the data with tech giants like Facebook, Google, Apple, and X. Those are explicitly mentioned in their privacy policy. So users are kind of being put in the difficult position. They are essentially being told either you fully participate in the Olympics experience and have to give up your privacy, or do not. So yeah.
This is kind of it's blackmail. Well, of course, you always have the right not to use those apps, and then maybe just Google stuff. And Google
Take
now has the
way
capability to like present this information about like the fixture list and the times when this or that event is taking place without actually entering an app.
Basically, it became the norm in the tech sector. If you want to use our app, we will milk you dry out of your data and everything we can get.
Yeah, or else your experience will be
basically. Or none at all.
And this is our in-house research, right? This is what cybersecurity researchers have found.
Yeah. Those findings are by our cybersecurity researchers, and also much of the findings are declared in the Google Play Store policies, in the Olympic Committee policies.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the apps that are collecting users' data?
Researchers checked 12 apps they think are kind of needed for Paris visitors. 7 of them are made by the International Olympic Committee and related organizations, and others are some other useful tools for traffic, for restaurants, for some other venues. So if you download the whole suite while you're visiting the Paris, basically you're giving almost all of your information to someone.
But like, what's the worst that could happen here in this situation? Like, I understand that people are sensitive about obviously giving away their private information, but if we understand that this is commonplace for all apps to basically do this, or all developers to basically, this is common practice, then what's the worst that can happen here?
Well, the main app, the Paris Olympics app, which is kind of your gateway to the games, requires your high-frequency sensor data, your access to the camera, to microphone, location data.
Right, okay.
So basically it can
spy on you.
Spy on you, yeah. Those are the capabilities that even the spyware probably would be happy to have. But of course, not everything may be used to spy on you. Maybe
it's not given that they're
it's not given.
on.
Maybe you just want to find where is your event happening, and you just want to check the map or you want to just ask some information with your voice. So we don't know how much of that data is being collected and used to build those profiles for advertisers, analytics, and everywhere else. But in theory, if a threat actor kind of compromised the app and got that data, it would be a big deal. And the Paris Olympics is kind of a big red flag for those actors.
Big high-profile event.
Yeah, I imagine in the era of deepfakes, especially audio deepfakes, and there have been already incidents where audio was deepfaked, and then someone was tricked into giving away information, even banking details or money transfers. So if you like you say, Ernestus, if you are searching something with the help of your voice on the app, and you had given audio use permissions beforehand, if the threat actor compromises that information and takes it, and it has your voice, and it can use it, I don't know, wherever.
Well, like phishing attacks, like we've seen with previous episodes that we've done of the podcast, where people have cloned people's voices and used it to extract money, credentials from family, friends, all that kind of stuff. So I guess that is the worst that can really happen.
Would you feel comfortable to share your location even when those terrorist attacks are happening? Or even maybe you are just a popular sports star or and suddenly everyone can check your location. I'm not saying that this is actually happening, just in the worst case scenario.
Do you think like Olympians are encouraged to download? Because I know that there's like specific phones that have been made by Samsung, I think, for the Olympic Games, and they're given to Olympians, right, and other people that are participating in the whole event.
How special are those devices?
They're like limited edition, I think, and they're basically just given to certain people, I believe. We've written an article about it. One of our gadget guys has. And I was wondering, do you think Olympians are encouraged to use these apps, even though the permissions are really kind of
For sure, they
dangerous?
aren't discouraged to use
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that those phones or anything on those phones are somehow adjusted to make them more private. Probably it's just the same as everywhere else, common tech industry practices.
Which is so harrowing if you think about it. Like, you're putting high-profile people at risk, really. But then again, it's not given.
It's not direct risk, right? I mean, I presume there's protocol in place in case some cyber attack happens and personal information is breached. I don't know. I hope so, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Because this event, the Olympics, is probably, I don't know, the Chinese one was also probably tech heavy in a sense of surveilling athletes and spectators. But this one, after the breakthrough in generative AI technology, is the first of the kind, right? So I mean, I think AI infused surveillance cameras are activated in this event in Paris, and all sorts of stuff online as well. I think the systems are there. So I don't know. I presume and I hope again that it's being protected. But then again, after the CrowdStrike outages,
who knows?
Who knows, right? I mean, if there's been already incidents surrounding the Olympics, I think already during the Olympics or just before the Olympics, the whole city just went dark because electricity was gone for a bit. And
what I hate the most about this is that almost all the apps, all the developers consider that the advertising, analytics, other tracking stuff is just kind of the unspoken price for the services. You must pay it. You have no choice, because once you download the app, they will share your email, they will share some of your data, and that's just what it is. And if you're a privacy purist, you kind of have no choice.
I guess it's impossible to be a privacy purist these days. But,
No.
I was wondering, is it really worth it to download these apps? Like, outweighing
not to me.
the permissions and the
I don't even
selling
know
of your
how they're
data and
called,
whatnot.
Well, I didn't. 10 million people did. So probably if you're visiting the games and trying to navigate as fast as possible to get the fresh information, who won what, probably it's worth it. Or you can check other news services like Cybernews.
Yeah,
and
true.
especially this information is probably useful on the apps. I mean, it's probably most useful to the journalists out there in Paris, navigating events and reporting them. Not only the results, the atmosphere in town, the political intricacies over there. So it's not only sports journalists there. And if you're, let's say, a political correspondent who's over there in Paris covering stuff around the Olympics, and you're somehow interesting to, I don't know,
Someone.
the Chinese security services
Yeah.
or whatnot, or the Russians, and this kind of risk to lose your personal information, or maybe someone interfering in your device and stealing some stuff from there, which is probably sensitive if you're a political correspondent over somewhere in France, the US, or the UK. You know, it's quite risky, I guess.
Yeah.
Many times the research have proved that your data ultimately ends up into some data broker archives. It can be bought by anyone, de-anonymized, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good that you you mentioned that, because that's actually what we're talking about next.
Yeah, basically what we're talking about next, right?
Neve?
Yeah, what can go wrong?
So a priest walks into a gay bar. No, it's the beginning of a bad joke.
What happens?
but
He dances.
He dances and he gets denounced by the clergy. So yeah,
Not immediately.
not immediately, but he soon gets found out. So this next very juicy story is about a Catholic priest and the queer dating app Grindr. You'd never think that those would go together, but somehow in this case,
you would never?
what?
The first thing in my mind
Was that it would
would
go
be
there?
priest equal Grindr, actually. And the Republican National Committee, yeah.
But we were, yeah. Anyway,
Go on.
Jeffrey Burrill has filed a lawsuit against the company for not protecting his data and not making him aware that his data could be shared or accessed by external parties. I mean, this is, I don't know how old Jeffrey is, but this is boomer behavior. But anyway, Burrell began using Grindr in 2017. It felt safe because there was no indication, at least to him, that the people outside of the app could access his data. And oh boy, was he wrong.
Yeah, and to him, you know, secrecy as a priest, he needs to be secretive.
Yes.
Because it's crucial, really. I mean, he used to be the top administrator of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Big shot.
He had taken a vow of celibacy, and Catholic teaching obviously opposes sexual activity outside heterosexual marriage. Also, by the way, one of his responsibilities as general secretary of this organization was to help manage the church's response to sex scandals and clerical cover-ups.
Ironic.
So, quite ironically, right,
Yeah.
when it came to managing his own cover-up, he kind of forgot to read the fine print.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the clergy or, you know, church, whatever you want to call it, eventually became aware of his transgressions, let's say.
It's natural.
Yeah, whatever. But I guess they would call it
Oh, yeah,
transgressions,
they
but
would,
whatever.
yeah.
As the information was sent to a Catholic media website called The Pillar. The Pillar received the data from the Catholic Laity and Clergy for Renewal, a non-profit in Denver that aims to support the commitment of Roman Catholic clergy to living and teaching of the Church and the Holy Scripture. Wow, that's a long sentence. They basically said
Read the Bible then.
They basically said that they bought the publicly available data in an ordinary way.
Yeah.
And then the USCCB then asked Burrill to resign, obviously. And now he's filed a lawsuit and looks to gain $5 million in damages.
Yeah. Funny thing, he has taken a vow of poverty as well. Why does he need 5 million? I have no clue.
But well, didn't Grindr made a social service here? Because if you want to confess your sins, you kind of would like to know if the priest is not some kind of weirdo on Grindr.
Yeah. Right, but anyways, the spokeswoman for Grindr told the Washington Post recently that the company intends to respond vigorously to these allegations, which are, quote, based on mischaracterizations of practices relating to user data, unquote. And, here's the thing. Grindr didn't do anything illegal. And Ernestus, you mentioned it while finishing our discussion about the previous story about the Olympics, because the Grindr app actually states very clearly in its privacy policy that it collects data, as they all do, and shares it with third parties, as, again, they all do. And there's no way around it either. I mean, it's just, like you said, it's out there and it's not going to change. It's going to get even more widely shared, I guess, the practice. And, by signing up for the app, the Grindr app, the user is giving their consent to have their personal information shared. And obviously, yes, if you're a priest, a Catholic priest or whatnot, and you might not know this. An ordinary person, regular folk, might not know how data is being used online. And just because someone says that it stays with us, it doesn't. But, so that's why I do believe that even though he was trying to cover up something that is or should be completely natural.
Yeah, agreed.
And, yes, it exposes maybe hypocrisy in the Catholic Church, but at the same time, Grindr should also proactively warn or just disclaim that your data it's out there.
Be a bit more obvious about your practices.
How many warnings do you need? It kind of...
But people aren't educated like,
or at least make the privacy policy more visible.
Even when I grew up, everyone just told me everything you put on the internet stays on the internet forever.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, I mean, Grindr, it is a queer dating app.
Yes.
And some of the people don't want outed.
Yeah,
they might live in Alabama, or they might be Catholic priests, or whatnot, and they might be living in Iran or Afghanistan, or
places where homosexuality isn't.
So I mean, imagine you're a LGBTQ plus person in Saudi Arabia somewhere, and you want to date other Saudi Arabian queers, and you use Grindr in the hopes that your information about you having registered to the app stays safe and private, and it's not, and that's it's more dangerous than being forced to resign from the Catholic Church positions.
Yeah, but I
think
guess
it's not the situation, because I consider a priest to be a public figure, and probably the privacy requirements should be.
Yeah, but he was using Grindr in private capacity, wasn't he?
But also at this point, especially being like, he wasn't just like some random priest, right? He was like a member of the head of some, what is it called? The USB CCB or whatever. He was like a
whatever.
He was a high profile figure in the church, presumably.
He was just an administrator. He wasn't a bishop.
Okay. But anyway, like he, you have to understand that, like you said, whatever goes on the internet stays on the internet. And, I feel like it's perfectly normal for him to have gone and done that. But like in his position, you especially when you've taken a vow of celibacy, it's...
Would you agree that the priest kind of disappointed his community? And
I guess. Like, although the things are a bit outdated, obviously, I think, but I'm not one to comment on that, I guess.
He broke the contract with the church.
I think even the Pope is not like strongly condemning homosexuality these days. Maybe there was a misquote of some of his words, so he kind of clarified it later. But yes, it's still a sin, but it's not as sinful, I guess, as murder.
But then again, would it be different if he was on Tinder, like looking for a girl? Or it would be the same. He broke the contract with the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was,
but I think it's just that extra kicker, I guess, that it was a queer dating app. It just makes the story all the more juicy.
Yeah, ancient teachings meet modern
tech is quite the.
Yeah, still, Grindr has already been accused of not protecting its users' privacy in the past. In April this year, another lawsuit claimed that the app shared users' HIV statuses, which are bad, which is even a worse practice than this one.
So bad.
And in July, a Norwegian court ordered Grindr to pay a fine over the company's practice of sharing sensitive user data with advertisers. It's the
Good.
same thing. Yeah. I mean, the EU and Norway is related to the EU because they follow the same set of laws basically internationally. But Europe is quite aggressive in fining these tech companies. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in this case. In the priest's case, I guess he's not going to win any damages at all.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Grindr is also one of the most. We wrote an article, one of our colleagues, about the most data-hungry dating apps, and Grindr is the most data-hungry that we found. According to the article and the information provided to the App Store, Grindr may collect 23 points of data about its users for various reasons, including app functionality, analytics, and advertising, which made it the most data-hungry app on the list. So be careful when you download these apps because they will take everything from you.
Yeah, and especially
you're
if you're
a commodity for this tech company.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, on to our main topic of the day and of the week, and probably the main topic of the past month in the United States, at least. Like we all know, Elon Musk has been politically active for quite a while on X, renamed from Twitter after he bought it. He's now, though, in turbo mode, it seems. What happened is that after Kamala Harris de facto replaced Joe Biden, she's not officially a nominee, but de facto replaced Joe Biden on a Democratic presidential ticket, Musk now posted a digitally altered campaign ad of Kamala without the context, of course, that it wasn't real, thus violating X's own policy. Yeah, and after a wave of criticism commenced, Musk simply replied that parody is illegal in America. Still, of course, he isn't sharing anything similar about Trump or his buddy J.D. Vance, probably because the other side is just a tiny bit more decent, I would presume. Anyway, the incident kind of pushed us, or me at least, to dig a bit deeper and try to tell you all about the political dynamics right now around Kamala, the Donald, and the tech world at large. Yeah, so I mean, I wanted to explore the current, again, moods in Silicon Valley and who is supporting who and why, and what could be the future of Silicon Valley under Donald Trump or under Kamala Harris, which is, of course, a current U.S. vice president. So presumably the decisions of the Joe Biden's administrations, she agrees with it and maybe even helped formulate some of the executive decisions. Yes. What do we want to say first? I mean, about Kamala, obviously she grew up and was born in California. Yeah. She has made her career in San Francisco, climbed up the ladder there, and of course, this is where most of the U.S. tech industry is based. Of course, it doesn't mean that the wealth of Silicon Valley will now be sent her way, although some of the money is traveling to her campaign funds. But she's, like I said, she's the protege of Joe Biden. Yeah. The process is democratic, unlike what the right wingers are saying. She's still going to be, but people have rushed to support her, and we'll see in the convention what happens. But I think
there's lots of people that are supporting Kamala Harris, as same with Trump.
Yeah,
it seems.
Yeah, with Donald Trump, you sort of know what to expect because he's already been there in the White House and pushed by these conservative ideologues. He supports lighter regulation and lower taxation,
which is obviously better for the likes of Elon Musk, who has explicitly endorsed him.
Yeah, and J.D. Vance. I think J.D. Vance is mostly the
Bitcoin guy, right?
Well, he's a VC kind of guy. I mean, he was basically pushed onto Donald Trump by Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, the two probably most right-wing, currently right-wing libertarian, at least.
And Peter Thiel is
ex PayPal guy.
Ah, right. Okay.
And he's
yeah.
now an investor and all that. He has loads of cash. So,
Yeah, he's a billionaire, I think. So.
And, following the advice of these guys, Trump hates antitrust. He loves crypto now. He used to hate crypto. He loves crypto now. Went to the Bitcoin conference just recently. Unlike Kamala, by the way, she was invited and she said, I'm going to do a Zoom. And they said, no, Donald is coming. Robert Kennedy Jr. is coming and climbing on the stage. And you're not. Like she bailed. And I think there might be a mistake because there's tens of millions of crypto users in the US and their vote might matter.
But she's also been raising a lot of money on Zoom, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting use of technology that seems kind of old to me, I guess, even though obviously it was around during the pandemic or whatever. But I think it's an interesting avenue to take to raise money. But yeah.
I mean, if you raise enough money by regular Americans, from regular Americans, and I think the numbers say that she has raised $200 million in the first week and signed up 170,000 new volunteers. So she might have leverage even without the wealthy Silicon Valley donors. I guess if you already have the cash and the popularity, especially, which is already there, she's already overtaken Trump in the polls nationally and in swing states. So it's no wonder she hasn't really indicated that she would not continue Biden's quite tough antitrust enforcement. We all know about these lawsuits against Amazon, Meta, Google at the Federal Trade Commission. Linda Khan is doing a great job over there. So,
but Harris has got people from Netflix behind her as well, like the co-founder of Netflix, Reed Hastings is behind
LinkedIn as well.
All of these big tech companies behind her. So it would be silly to be so, because I think people said that Biden basically went really, really intense with the regulation of tech companies. And
have you seen the results of that stricter regulation?
No.
Because exactly. So that means that something must have been happening behind the scenes. Like, we're going to push you a little bit in public, but then let you do your thing behind the scenes, I guess. Because has Facebook's practices changed? Have they changed?
But
No.
is that better? Like, Trump is basically, we kind of assume or we expect that Trump will, be antitrust or whatever, or like relax regulations. If the Democrats are doing that anyway, just behind the scenes, is that better? Or is it better to have somebody who is transparent about, being, having a business friendly approach to tech, which basically means that they're not going to get regulated as much, right?
Well, maybe I misspoke. Really, I mean,
Perhaps.
there's no. I don't think there's any secretive stuff going on behind the scenes. Like with current administration talking with big tech. I mean, there's still investigations. There's the AI Executive Act, and it's not only Biden's administration's efforts that are kind of hitting the wall there. They're wealthy, the Silicon Valley guys.
Yeah.
The tech firms, they have
their own.
loads of lobbyists, wandering around Washington, and it's very hard to push any policy that kind of would hurt really badly. I mean, for this is not entirely tech related, but Kamala still intends to raise taxes for the ultra wealthy, which
relates
Silicon
to
Valley
Silicon
guys.
Valley people. Yeah.
Yeah, Elon doesn't want to be taxed, I guess.
Well, yeah, but Trump is, I guess, against higher taxation rates, right?
He intends to cut taxes once again. I mean,
for the rich,
ballooning the deficit, but he doesn't care about that. I don't know.
No.
Ernestus, what do you think? I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, the whole situation kind of resembles the Middle Ages, and I kind of get the East India Company vibes, something like that, because those big tech companies are kind of digital feudal lords now.
Yeah.
They accumulated a lot of wealth, a lot of power, a lot of influence, and with that kind of comes some troubles. Like if you've read the book Why Nations Fail, you kind of see the reasons how extractive institutions can really damage the society and the country. So what I think big tech, you don't need to be business friendly to big tech, because they are kind of already have you could say they are above the law, but in many cases there aren't even the law to regulate them. So
I'm interested then. It is all of the things that we've mentioned about like cutting taxes and kind of avoiding regulatory practices of big tech companies. If they're kind of almost above this, then why are tech tycoons interested in politics in the first place?
Well, Trump says, let's see who gets the biggest piece of pie. So let's make even more money. Let's be even more extractive, get more influence, more power. So it's kind of sounding undemocratic for me.
Oh well, the whole U.S. Process of politics is democratic in name, but if there's money behind every move or every decision, then you kind of wonder what's going on, really. Because even now, like, it's interesting. You see Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Sachs, I can't remember his name, another investor. They're like loudly and publicly supporting Trump. And they're actually saying why, because they're saying the regulation is actually stopping innovation. And if they want JD Vance in the White House as vice president at first, but then Trump is old as well. He's the oldest ever candidate right now. Yeah. But they want VC crowd in the White House. So because in that way the most amazing like achievements might be made or whatnot. On the other side, and among the really big tech camp, in this camp, Zuckerberg is saying nothing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Microsoft is saying nothing. Yes, Melinda Gates is speaking, but she's a philanthropist now, as is Bill Gates. Sheryl Sandberg is speaking, supporting Kamala, but she's already ex-Facebook's COO, so she's not currently taking any official positions at these companies. And Elon Musk, among the big social media giants, he's the only one probably supporting one candidate specifically. Well, and the reason is they're still waiting, and Kamala hasn't even started her official campaign. Really, she has to formulate her policy towards the tech officially, and they're I think it's just my opinion. I think they're waiting to see, and of course working behind the scenes by activating all these lobbyists to run around and find out what's going on. They might have a clue because Kamala is in the administration now, and she has helped Biden formulate this AI Act, not AI, executive order on AI. Yeah. So not much might change, but they're still waiting to see what carrots will Kamala give them in order for them to support them. If she even needs that support, because she is already raising a lot of money from regular people.
Yeah.
But putting all the public statements aside, if you were a big tech shareholder and you kind of interested to get as much tax levies as possible, as much state support as possible, who would you vote for? Who would you support? And I think that there is one candidate kind of promises all the good stuff for those types of shareholders.
Trump, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... No, but Trump might promise whatever. He lies all the time. But the Republicans would actually probably... would not. Sorry. They are officially ideologically against any state kind of interventions, right?
Yeah.
They would not help companies survive or whatever. Obama did bailed out.
Maybe not companies, but like individuals. So that's why presumably like these politicians are rallying, or tech tycoons are rallying behind certain politicians to say, look, I am a person. I have this, I have wealth, whatever. I also have a company. Maybe you put your loyalty in me and not the company itself. I mean, we've spoken about this profusely on the podcast, but off the books, Trump kind of said to Elon that, we'll give you an advisory position in the Oval Office. Like, it's more about, I guess, like personal relationships. And that's why, I think...
Well, I do also believe that the techies the very rich techies who support Donald Trump, or they would support any Republican right now, I think, because of ideology of low taxation and less regulation. And they like that because there's then less interference into how they're making their money. And they, of course, they don't want to pay more taxes because that cuts into their wealth.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that they care about the money.
Yeah.
The ones that support the Democratic candidate or are staying neutral at this point in time, I do believe that they also care a bit about social issues as well, because California is that kind of state.
Yeah.
Well, at least in Silicon Valley, right? I mean, such as abortion, women's rights, the
Yeah, for
environment,
sure.
climate change, and all that. I mean, they still care about the money. Of course, everyone cares about the money among the business people, especially the tech business people. But not all greed is good to some of these entrepreneurs. Plus, like I said, again, there's hope to steer these policies if Harris becomes the president as well. So for instance, there's been a spat online on X between Musk and this Vinod Hoshla,
Yes, I saw this.
an investor and Democratic donor, and Hoshla he kind of encouraged people to support Kamala and donate to her campaign. Musk then replied to him, "Come on, JD and Trump forever," or something like that.
Let's go, I think he said.
Yeah, probably LFG.
Yeah, LFG.
Could have said that, right?
Sorry, LFG.
But then Hosler replied, "Hard for me to support someone," and I quote, "with no values, who lies, cheats, rapes, demeans women, hates immigrants like me. He may cut my taxes or reduce some regulation, but that is no reason to accept depravity in his personal values."
Yikes.
So I think that's the balance some of the donors might be looking in their heads. Like, is it really worth the a bit lower taxes to kind of betray my own values in supporting this guy? And I'm not even, to each its own, or I don't
to each
mean,
their
you
own.
vote for Trump, whatever you want. Yeah, everyone's accusing us of censorship or like being overly political and dissing the Republicans, but I don't care. I mean, do whatever you want,
it's
but
not for us to decide
yeah,
at the
exactly.
end of the day. Like, we aren't US citizens, so therefore it is not for us to decide,
Yeah.
but we will still have our opinion.
Of course. And believe you me, in Europe, everyone hates Trump.
What do you think, is Twitter or X still a town hall where a free speech dominates
No.
the discussion?
I actually wanted to, when I was driving to work this morning, I thought about this analogy that Musk is pushing. This is a digital town square where everyone comes in and discusses. I think someone is bussed in all the time. Because if you're saying you're pro free speech and against censorship, but somehow still shadow banning certain accounts or certain organizations, like Anonymous actually wrote about this recently, that they're being shadow banned all the time. Their posts are limited, and he actually does this all the time. This
Yeah.
is not pro-free. This is hypocrisy once again. I mean, and if only people dug a little bit deeper, they would see that the owner of X is not entirely sincere in his like claims that he's like the most pro-free speech guy ever. No, he's not.
Well, he's flip-flopped from voting Republican to voting Democrat, and that, and the other. He's a fickle man, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever, basically,
That's why he flipped from. Yeah, exactly. That's why I think he flipped.
Well, yeah, because whatever serves him at that point in time is what he will go for, it seems, rather than having maybe the people like that are behind Kamala are a bit more, have maybe more fixed values.
They're a bit more traditional
And-
tech people, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know that like Trump also has basically bashed traditional, as you said, traditional big tech companies like Meta, who, I mean, recently Meta just kind of was being judged for apparently censoring Donald Trump's
Sorry for
stuff.
waving you off, but that's just nonsense.
waving you up. Yeah, so I mean, it's all a big complicated situation, basically.
Yeah, but why did he even switch camps, Elon? I mean, there were a couple of stories that I think Biden's administration snubbed Tesla
I
and
actually have a
discussed
tweet
the future of electric car manufacturing with
yeah.
other companies and not Tesla, and that's why he got enraged about it.
Elon tweeted or posted on X in 2022, "In the past, I voted Democrat because they were, in brackets mostly, the kindness party. But they have become the party of division and hate. so I can no longer support them and will vote Republican. Now watch their dirty tricks campaign against me unfold.
Well,
So it's all about him.
Everything is about him, of course. Well, he's the richest guy on earth, so
Good for you, sir.
you know. I mean, just to come back a little bit to the point about Kamala and Donald and who's supporting who in Silicon Valley. I also have to say that for the right wingers and in Silicon Valley, and especially the very wealthy donors, this might be one of the last. I would never say never in politics, especially in the United States, but still, the demographics is changing pretty fast in the United States. So electing Donald and then maybe JD Vance to follow him might be the last chance for these fancy pants, really.
Yeah.
Because these are the numbers. 20.2 million boomers have died in the US since the 2016 election.
Rip.
At the same time, since 2016, 41 million people of Gen Z have risen to the age of voting. So basically, older people are dying off and younger people are coming up. So, and this is actually, I think right now, especially having in mind that these swing states are very important and even certain counties are very important. So sometimes 150,000 votes in 8 counties across swing states might decide the election outcome in the whole country. So the killer number is this: 8 million people came into the game of voting since the 2022 midterm election. So it's 2 years. When polled, these 8 million people, well, not all of them were polled, obviously, but there's a process. 63% of them said they were hard Democrats. And in general, I think everyone must see that the younger people in the US are more left-leaning than previously.
I think younger people almost everywhere are a lot more left-leaning.
So, I guess unless Project 2025 comes into place, the future might not be too bright for the red ones.
Well, good luck.
To who?
To you, Donald Trump. Good luck.
Who do you think is going to win the election, Ernestus?
I won't speculate. That's for Americans to decide. I'm here.
That's just a guess.
I will keep that to myself.
Oh.
I think Kamala will win it.
You want Kamala to win.
But, and this is obviously off topic, so hard, but
Oh, God.
I think Kamala will win, but then the courts might help Trump and in his camp to kind of protest because the Supreme Court is right wing right now.
Yeah.
Right. So
The majority
is right wing, and they might help, let's say, annul the results, whatever they may. I hope the US will be prepared now, but no one wants another January 6th to happen in the States, do you?
Yeah, absolutely not. But yeah.
That's it from us today. Don't be angry at us for doing the politics bit again.
We love everyone.
We love everyone except some people. All right. This has been Neve, Ernestus, and me, Gintras. See you all next week.
Bye.